things to say. Somebody else.
So your boy, I don't know what he doing. Your boy Brian Solange changed his picture because people was coming at him about his him having his ex as his thing, but he wanted to go around talking about passport for pussy and talking about SYSBM fools, but you still holding a picture of your old ex-girlfriend. You supposed to be a Marlboro man, right? You did something right, Brian Solange. So remember I told you it was an audio about it's an audio of your boy Kevin Samuels a few years ago sitting there acting like he paid $7,000 for a consultant to tell him that MGTOW and Red Pill is toxic, right? And you gonna hear the audio right here. But the funny thing about the scumbag, I don't care if he's dead or not, but he's still who was a scumbag. And I'm not gonna sit back and tramp over his death and celebrate it or nothing. But when he was alive, I thought that he was a scumbag because he talked about how it was bad for his brand. But then he rewrapped it and it regurgitated it as his point of views. He stole everybody's talking point. MGTOW's talking point, SYSBM's talking point. But in this audio clip, he sat back and said it was toxic for his brand, toxic for anybody's brand. He was the one who convinced Obsidian to say that MGTOW broke, stingy, and cheap, right? So let's listen to the audio. And I'm going to give you a clear indication of that list that I just made in my previous video, that Kevin Samuels benefited being in the woman's hierarchy. He had 100% anonymity. You know why? His videos, his channel didn't get struck down like Tommy's. There wasn't people canceling him. They tried. He got more coverage because of what the women want, because he was entertainment. He was doing it in a package of entertainment. See, the difference between real red pill is that you can't beat a person who lived that lifestyle for a long time, but you can beat a person who puts on a suit and pretends like he's acting like he's red pill. You can always change your fakes or act like a fake. He did the entertaining way, putting on a suit, acting flamboyant. He was their little entertainer. It was entertaining going on his profile to try to argue his point. That's why they was drawn to him. They had fun going back and forth with Kevin Samuels. That's why he blew up. He blew off all women. And he had the anonymity to say whatever he want, unlike everybody else, including myself. I can tell you how many times. I can tell you right now. I talked about a chick, an overweight chick, back in a couple years ago, and I got my first strike on my channel doing that. But this guy, he was just their favorite toy to play with, their favorite entertainer to play with, and he stayed online. It was funny that he never got reported or videos got struck down. He never lost a channel. It's funny, right? He had the anonymity because he was in a woman's hierarchy system. And he fooled a lot of men in believing that he was talking against them when he wasn't. This is why he told you about the high value man and all that. That was all a feeder system to basically bring you back to these women.
Was like, you got to get yours. He just graciously smiled at him and kept it moving. In New York, as crowded and rowdy as New York can be, no bodyguards. I mean, he was a man of the people, and if you ever really had a chance.
Good question then. All right, because we were talking about this before you showed up. So here's Brian Solange's argument in a nutshell, using the Zaza Ali as a kind of entry point of sorts. That you have a spate of black female, essentially hustlers, who are taking advantage of what they see as a great opportunity in this burgeoning black manosphere and are getting likes and shares and cash. Mm-hmm. And he cites Paris Milan, Olivia Alexa, Cynthia G, and so forth. So my argument in response to what you're saying, you brought up Glendon Campbell. All right, so why is it that Cynthia G is doing so well? Explain that one to me.
Because because in red pill spaces, the rhetoric is down, down, boo, women down, down, everything women. But when guys get away from that kind of stuff, 9 out of 10 men still want a woman, and they want.
Mind you, this guy died on top of a woman. He really did need a woman. I don't mean to jab about that, but the reason why, because men don't support other men. It's beneficial to tell women what they want to hear and mix it up in different types of formula so they can absorb it. But they don't want to hear the real truth without the entertainment. But this is him years ago lying and saying that he had all his money, he was an image consultant, he paid $7,000. But you will hear it in his own words.
Kids. And see, it's easy for guys who've already passed that point in life or who had a divorce and already got kids to trumpet that. Younger guys still want this. Even with all of the downsides, they still want it. So Cynthia G, unlike
and this is a guy who he tried to speak for a lot of people, right? And said they still want it. But then when a lot of guys wanted to push back on it and stay away from Blackistan, Brian Solange, Obsidian talked about SYSBM. We didn't want to do it your way. We wanted to do it our way. And it was successful. Some failed a little bit, but it was overall successful. But hey, most of the guys in SYSBM are still alive right now.
This space over here still looks like hope to these guys.
That's disgusting.
Well, but again, Ezra, how old are you?
I'm 44.
And how many kids you got?
I have four girls.
Okay, now go back to the 18-year-old you and say, fuck the rest of your life, no kids, no nothing. It will be a completely different story, friend.
But I know young men.
I don't care. I said you. I said you.
You're right.
Kevin is right. I'm 33.
I'm talking about somebody who's already a father. Ezra, you be on some bullshit, man. You sit around here thunder and talk about stats and everything else. You got 4 fucking kids, man, and you've already been through that.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm saying a lot of it wasn't worth it.
But you can say it, but you still got them. You still got them, fam. You got 4 kids.
And I love
exactly, and that's the point. You got something that you telling other guys that it ain't worth, but you wouldn't give any of them up for anything. Come on, knock off the bullshit, man. This is what I'm saying. Here's the thing, guys.
This is my daughters, but I'm saying I would not want to go through what I went through again.
But here's the thing, though. But it's like this. It's like to a dude who's been born blind and to a guy who lost his sight. You can say, yeah, it wasn't worth it, but you're also talking to guys who are sitting there trying to balance between these two. And I'm telling you, I get the emails saying, look, fam, I'm red pill, I'm dipped, I'm dying, and everything else. But look here, man, I got to be real. I want a child. I want a son.
I understand that.
Can I just say one thing in defense of Ezra? And I want to say there's a lot of things that Ezra says that I don't exactly agree with, but I will say that I have to agree with him on this. And I'm 10 years younger than him. I'm 33 years old. I've never had kids. And given, I still could have kids in a family right now if I wanted to. But given what I have experienced with the modern day feminist culture with women online and off, I don't want kids. I don't want a girlfriend. I don't want a wife. I don't want to deal with these females at all. I'm still physically and sexually attracted to them, yes. But going after them for the sake of what we're talking about in this context, I just don't want to deal with it anymore.
It's easy to say that and here's the thing. I understand where you're coming from. I do. But it is easier to say that at 33. When you get up around 63 and you got more life behind you than ahead of you, you may look at things differently. And that's what I'm telling you. Obsidian is a...
And mind you, he was 57. And he didn't want to go get married out here, but he was promoting everybody else to get married. He was buying hookers behind the scene. That chick wasn't his girlfriend. This is why it was funny when I heard this. I mean, it's making me go back. I was actually listening to this the whole time, but I didn't know the audio was never there because Obsidian hit it and everything else. But like I said, he did the right. He did a good thing in this. This is the original audio that everybody was talking about. Everybody's basically the reason why nobody rocked with Kevin Samuels in the first place. Mainly, this dude was a liar. Oh man, this guy's 60 and all this other stuff. Man, they're gonna want relationships and all this, but you himself didn't reflect that. And he didn't blow up until 2 years ago. But this is back in 2000 and what? I think 17 and 18?
Is a confirmed bachelor. He made his choice early on. And I will say that's roughly 3, maybe 5 out of every 100 guys. The other guys are just understand what you're saying from a logic standpoint. And when I say marriage, you guys know what I think about the state-sponsored marriage and all that stuff. But private marriage, because here's the thing, men are problem solvers.
Private marriage was known that it just still don't work. Because if it was private marriage that actually worked, Mr. Kevin Samuels, when you were alive, you would have got in a private marriage yourself when you blew up. But you didn't. You stayed single. You blew up, you made a lot of money, and you stayed single. Which was kind of funny for somebody who's saying stuff like this years ago.
Men who are still saying, well, how do you end up getting something different? Because throwing your hand, here's the thing. There's so many guys who are saying throwing in the towel, which a lot of this sounds to guys like throwing in the towel, is not the answer for them. And I got stacks of emails for this stuff. And here's the thing. Let me finish this other side of it. So it becomes, it's like
and pretty much this is what your boy Kevin Samuels always do. He would lie and blow up his little his stuff and say, yeah, I got stacks of emails and we talking about this and this and that, and it would be lies. He came into space being a whole bald-faced liar. He faked it till he made it. And he had anonymity because women, he was a plant. He was a plant, and then he upgraded himself to being an entertainer for women. He benefited off of the woman's hierarchy system. Kevin Samuels was their creation.
It's almost like after you become red pill, and after you understand female nature, male nature, what is life for? What's the purpose? That's where a lot of guys are stuck, and that's why red pill and MGTOW, just by the numbers, it's toxic to a brand because there is no hope.
See, it's toxic to a brand, but you stole every talking point from MGTOW and red pill and switched it around. You stole from everybody. You like this, what? Not Steve Jobs. You the Bill Gates of things. The Bill Gates of stealing shit and mixing it up and fooling a whole bunch of young men to believing that you was some kind of hope. They didn't know your origins. But guys like myself, we was there. That's why we didn't like you. Like I said, may you rest in peace. But obviously, this was who he was. This is the same dude on a live stream said that live streaming was bad. And then go on to blow up being a live streamer. Those videos are hitting too. They tossed them out. This is the same dude who said that live stream don't grow your channel. But pre-recorded videos grow your channel. And everybody came at him. But then when he blew up off live streaming, not with pre-recordeds. This guy was a scam artist and a thief.
There's nothing to market to. There's nothing to sell. What are you really telling guys? Get up and work your ass off and come home and sit and talk to other men about life.
Yeah. And it was better than dying on a prostitute. Going on talking meant way better than dying on top of a prostitute. The whole point of you getting money is you having more access to do whatever you want so nobody like you can control them. That's it. Red Pill was the knowledge that, hey, if you can think of a better way to do what you want to do, you be mobile and get and go out there and do what you know to do. You're not limited by financial problems. That was what it was all about.
Well, see, I think that's one of the problems I've always had with MGTOW is that a lot of these guys are talking about since I'm going to leave the slave plantation, I'm just going to give it up. There's so much as a young man that you can do with your life.
Exactly.
A young man. You don't have to have a family, but you don't have to have a family to feel like you succeeded in life. There are other things.
Exactly.
Well, it's not. Now, I won't say that it's for everybody. Now, that's another thing.
I agree, Sam. But there are other things you can do. You can still build. You don't have to build for a woman. You can build for yourself.
Yeah, and that's some kind of blue pill rhetoric, because once you build, here come the women sending their industry plants like a Kevin Samuels, or they're sending their they soldiers of chaos to rob and steal you or probably take you out. You can build, but you can't build it nowhere near these people because they always want to benefit off of it. I mean, go to Man of Tomorrow channel, and he talks about it all the time. They come when you build shit. They try to take everything you have, and it's up to you to keep them far away from what you build. But it's hard because then you have the fake people coming around you, bringing these women along with them.
You know what? All right, let me jump in here and say this. Let me
fulfilling our goal.
Let me jump in here and say this. There is evidence to support what Kevin is saying, independent of YouTube. This came down about a couple years ago. It's relatively recent. An NPR poll that was taken among black men and black women. Almost half of black men wanted to be married or failing that in a relationship, versus about 25% of black women. Okay? So that is in Kevin's favor. The problem I'm having with what Kevin is saying relating to Glendon Campbell and bringing it all back to me is, okay, Kevin, so if black men deem Red Pill / MGTOW as toxic for the reasons that you mentioned, why are they going to someone toxic in Cynthia G?
Well, I will say this now. I want to make the distinction. It's not black men saying Red Pill is toxic. I'm saying Red Pill and MGTOW is toxic to a brand. So this is global. It can be from Sam.
And this, mind you, this is a guy who didn't travel. It's not toxic to a brand worldwide. Come on now. And this is the lies that this dude was saying. Toxic worldwide. There's MGTOW men all over the world. From New Zealand to Iceland to all these other places. And they have a they're very harsh. Japan has a MGTOW market. They was one of the creators of it. And they live their life away from their women. They're starving out their whole society because they didn't get what they want. So pretty much, I'm not gonna continue this right here, but I'm gonna tell you what he said when he said that he spent $7,000 to get a consultant when he wasn't even making that much money back then.
Man, to Darius MGTOW.
Okay.
And I'm just talking about, and like it or not, because we're on other platforms, YouTube restricts your growth and all these things. You know what happens.
Right.
Patreon,
Basically, what he said was, I'm going to steal your content from everybody and rebrand it the way I want to brand it so I can make it marketable off of y'all downfall. But I'm going to talk about y'all concepts because y'all not making money. But he didn't... See, what people don't understand, Kevin Samuels was a bullshit artist. And without the pandemic, he would have never blew up. He would have continued to be in spaces talking some nonsense. But the pandemic helped him. Let's be real. The pandemic helped him blow up. Because everybody was sitting at home. I mean, even somebody as stoic as myself got fooled by a couple little things in the pandemic. I bought so many games in a later 2020 that I should have never touched because we were starved out from content. There was no games. It was no movies. There was no video games. It was no TV shows. Everything was so dry. It was so dry to the point where I end up paying for PlayStation Now and playing old ass games. It was terrible. Staying in the house for over 3 weeks. That was the longest in my entire life that I stayed in the house for. 3 weeks? Are you serious? It was, whew. And my highest content output was in 2020. When I had to get out the house and I was making videos outside in the park just to walk around making videos. Doing the George Floyd, doing all that other stuff. So, without the pandemic, this dude would have never blew up.
You are one decision in Patreon from them saying, you know what? Southern Poverty Law Centers say this is a hate group and you're associated with it, so we shut you.
And then the talking point of the Southern Poverty Center that's getting sued right now. What Kevin Samuels and all these other people who was talking about incels and stuff. Yeah, CNN got sued a lot by the shit that they was talking about. This is the reason why half of their stuff imploded. They're losing money left and right because they were getting sued on the back end. A lot of incels won a lot of cases against CNN and all other companies. This is why a lot of them had to sell their companies because they was going around talking about MGTOW and incel and they was getting sued. The Southern Poverty Line, they was getting sued as well for saying the stuff that they was saying. Everybody was getting sued left and right. That's why a lot of companies are losing money. This is the reason why Twitter was basically up for sale. That's why Elon Musk bought it. Because they seen it was going down. When you talk against one group, eventually the other group, the purveyors of the group, you're going to have a cesspool full of people like a Kevin Samuels and all these other people eating each other alive. I'm making this video because you can learn from his death. Just like I made a video about the guy who died in Colombia. I made a video, video, kind of informational video to tell y'all not to move just like him. This is another one. Don't move like this guy.
Yeah, and you understand that. So to answer the question of why are guys going over to a Cynthia G, dude, I think the answer is far more complex than Red Pill. There's a lot of simpery still left in men. They want approval and justification. They want validation because they want I'm not like those guys, sis. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just poses a very interesting question. What we're talking about right now, that I want to ask both you, Obsidian, and all of your panel members, since we have more people on here. And we talked about successful versus unsuccessful parts of the red pill and MGTOW movement. I have to ask people this because I've seen a lot of arguments on social media, not just YouTube, that Tommy Sotomayor has moved on beyond red pill, beyond MGTOW. Like he's like his own brand and category now. There's even rumors now that he's supposed to be in some movie that's coming out, and he's basically become close to or a millionaire off of.
Yeah, this was badly done because Tommy gets see, Tommy didn't want to follow the rules. If he would became mainstream, he would have had to cut down every single thing he's saying. So Tommy wanted to stay independent, and without being backed by the YouTube machine, that's why his channel go down over and over and over again. Tommy barely gets 5,000 people, 5,000 subscribers before they take his channel. So yeah, this aged pretty badly. He didn't go from it, and he went to talking bad about red pill spaces, and then end up getting punched in the face by the friend of a girl that he shot OnlyFans with. 40-something-year-old guy still getting in the drama with females. And then the women pretty much got some clout off of him. And then he went back and started talking shit about the manosphere and red pill and everything.
His brand of, anti-black feminism. Now, Tommy Sotomayor, okay, if we're addressing this from saying that, well, red pillars, men who are advertising that they're on to the BS of females, or MGTOWs that they'll deal with women on their own terms only to benefit themselves. If that is not a winning brand, and I'm not saying that it is, okay? I personally, I do my thing. I don't care whether I financially benefited off of it or not. This is how I feel passionately. But if it is not...
Wrong. Because you, Mr. Solange, you benefit off of men anger. That's why you selling sex dolls. That's why you talk password for pussy, or SYSBM fools. You taking shots at everybody. But look at you now, under investigation, taking videos down because your radicalness brung in guys like Frank James. That's the thing, right? You financially benefit from men not finding another solution to get what they want. If they have to go overseas, then let them. As long as they're not in this system. But you had to talk shit, right?
Winning brand. How did Tommy, who was really one of the pioneers, not the one, but one of the innovators of this whole thing 5-6 years ago, how did he separate from the rest of MGTOW and Red Pill to become as supremely successful as he has been?
He was never that. Also, he's not really successful. He has to create OnlyFans and shoot porn with ratchet ass women. He has to put his videos on OnlyFans. I don't call that successful. What I call successful is a guy who can keep his stuff on YouTube and get paid a lot of money for it. Like Joe Rogan did when he went to Spotify. Nobody's asking Tommy to go on their brand. Nobody. And if they did, he declined it because they probably put rules on him. So he tried independent. This guy's a beggar. Oh, hit that Cash App. You watching me, hit that Cash App. Hit that Cash App. Hit that Cash App. He's doing very well for what he do. He living in mansions. He's paying off women, but he still had to be the monkey in entertainment in a woman's hierarchy.
He was never MGTOW to begin with.
There you go. How many times do you hear Tommy say MGTOW, manosphere?
Yeah, he was never there.
Well, he hit similar talking points.
Yeah, but he's never bought into the MGTOW. I haven't.
Right.
I haven't bought into the MGTOW label.
See, the question, and Brian, basically, I think what you're getting to is one of the questions the consulting firm asked me. And one of the things Linda Cameron actually touched on. He's like, you're past that point, and you are fully. It's all, I call it being Neo. You understand the machine world, and you understand Zion, and you can function in both. Now, Tommy is. I think everybody knows where Tommy stands on feminism and everything else, but it's those things that he doesn't have those things tied to his brand. And that's all I'm saying is red pill, MGTOW, that kind of stuff is tied to your brand.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry, Kev, but Tommy does not have black.
And the funny thing about it is saying it's tied to your brand. There's a lot of successful dudes that are talking MGTOW that's more successful than Kevin Samuels ever was. That's why he took their content and made it into a black thing. That's the reason why half of the black dudes try to twist around their content and make. There's a lot of successful white guys over the white manosphere that make way more money than Kevin Samuels when he was alive. So that was a lie.
Nationalism are tied to his brand.
Right. That I can agree with that. Yeah.
Tommy, as you all know, he criticizes black women. He criticizes black men. And he sometimes criticizes white women and white men. So Tommy kind of crossed over, but at the same time, he knows not to cross, those whites that are.
Oh man, I'm not trying to get this right here, but I want to cut that. I want to get that lie that he made years ago before he blew up. That he paid a lot of money for a consultant, pretty much was a lie.
Contributing to his cause, that are contributing to his platform.
Well, but Tommy also will tell you that he's on tour right now, and the majority of his supporters are black women, because
the majority of his supporters are black women because they see him as an entertainer, not as a person who's going to talk down to what. He's an entertainer. This is why he's sing and dance. And if I bring out my list, he fits 2 or 3 of being on that list. An entertainer, a sex toy, and a promoter. And a bragger. He promotes all of that. He's no matter what Tommy says or any of these guys, they fit in the woman's hierarchy system. That's the reason why they're still around. And the guys who don't fit that hierarchy system and they're independent, they get kicked off and FBI called on them and everything else. Because you can't really shame us or bribe us with dusty behind vagina, single momness and looks and all that. We're the real deal. And we have put our messages out there. So they have to use the law.
If we're going to just talk about the business of it, I paid over $7,000 to have a consultant tell me exactly what she...
Pay $7,000. He was a piece of fucking shit liar. He put on cheap ass suits. And he faked it till he made it. There were so many videos of his real life. I mean, even people said, shout out to MOT saying this. He said I think who is it? MOT said it. He said he didn't pay off his child support until when he blew up. But you have 7,000 to tell you about MGTOW being toxic. You wasn't even making that much money. You wasn't making none of that. What, you saved all that money up, or you took loans out or something? Because that's what people were saying that he took a whole bunch of loans out and all this other stuff, and asking people for money, and borrowing image consulting and stuff like this, selling stuff off in order for him to try to survive. So basically, that whole thing right there, Kevin Samuels benefited off the woman's system hierarchy. This is the reason why he blew up. Most guys in the system of hierarchy for women, they have this kind of, they don't have the same anonymity as the woman, but they have something close to it. They can talk shit about men all they want because it giggles, it makes women feel good about themselves. They want to share the same benefits from women. That's the reason why they want to be a part of the woman's system. They're weak men who can't stand on their ground, and they have to be under the woman's system in order to get the benefits, instead of fighting for their benefits so they can actually stand toe to toe. So this is what it is. Kevin Samuels benefited off the women's hierarchy system to say almost anything with minimum consequences.